Alright you guys, so today we're going to be doing the 2016 base progression video. Now you might remember that last year's base progression video was just over 5 hours long because we actually looked at every single base on the server regardless of whether or not significant changes have been made to them, and we also recorded base tours for all of the active members. Now the reason we went to all that trouble last year and were so thorough with that video was because I wanted to find out what players had not set foot on the server in over a year, so that we could omit them from all future base progression videos, including this one. So with that said, this video is going to be a lot shorter and a lot more targeted specifically to the bases that have changed. And in this past year, sometime between when we put out the 2015 base progression video and this base progression video, Mojang changed something in the code where the field of view in-game has changed just slightly to the point where even though I haven't changed my settings, I always play with Minecraft with the field of view set to normal, for some reason it just doesn't line up anymore. They changed something. So because of that, I had to go back and retake all the screenshots going back through all the backups of everybody's base. And because I had to go to do that anyway, I decided to take some different angles for certain bases so that the screenshots from this year, all the progress that's been made up to this point, would benefit more than how I initially thought things were going to go. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at BBL's third base. This is the terrain before BBL started to build. And then by the year 2015, this is how much progress he had made. Now, of course, keep in mind that when a player is building inside of a mountain or underground, you're not going to see that reflected here. So BBL is actually a pretty active member, but again, you just don't really get to see a lot of it. Now, between 2015 and 2016, this is the progress that he made. Now, BBL actually requested that I show another project that he started just a few months ago. So we're going to go over towards Spawn to look at a little project he's been building there. So this is the terrain as it originally was, and this is the castle that he's built up to this point in the last couple months. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and move on to Derpstone. Now you might not recognize who Derpstone is. That's because he is a guest member from the Dadcraft server. So he's been on for just a little bit, and he's started here, and he's built into like a little starter base. And again, a lot of it's underground, so not a lot to see. But if there's visible changes to be seen, I always include people in the base progression videos. So from here, we're going to look at Durandal, who started a little base sort of close to spawn. This is what he started with, and in the few months he's had a chance to play, he's turned it into this little area. Moving on from here, we've actually got Joe Craftness's base. Now, in the past, Joe hadn't really built a base. He's been working with Paul on stuff, and he's the person who created the Western Town. But he's finally settled down and sort of picked a spot, even though he's told me he might move it. But this is the terrain as he's starting. This is actually really close to where NAC 303's little starter base is. And this is the progress he's made in just a few short weeks since he started building. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and skip Kashi's main base because the 2015 screenshot and the 2016 screenshot, there was no visible changes from the angle we had. But Kashi and Paul are currently in a little competition where they're building a village. So this is where Kashi chose to build his village in this little forest here. And the progress he's made so far, which is basically most of what he's been doing this last year, is seen here. Now moving on, we're going to look at Paul's base, which also got a new angle, and here you can see how it originally formed, and this is how far he got to before we took the screenshots last year. And I say that just because that's when we took the backup for the screenshots, not that we're using the same screenshots. And then between 2015 and 2016, this is the progress that he's at currently. All right. Now, as I said before, Paul has also started building a little village, so this is the terrain that he started with. And this is the direction that he's taking his village in. So it's very different from what Kashi's been up to. Moving on from here, we're going to look at Pecos. Pecos is one of the original members on Third Echelon, starting way back in 2012. So this is what Haven Island, as he calls it, originally looked like when he first got there. And then between 2012 and 2013, this is the progress that he made. And then from 2013 to 2014, this is, he's really worked hard on clearing out this whole island and terraforming like a madman to get it to what it looks like now. And then from 2014 to 2015, he's just continued to build, always busy. And then 2015 to 2016, he's really furnished things up. Now with Pecos's base, I chose to take another screenshot with my render setting at 20 chunks instead of 12, which is how I normally play, so that we could really get a grasp of just how much work he's done. So this again is the 2012 terrain. This is from 2012 to 2013, 2013 to 2014, 2014 to 2015, and 2015 to 2016. All right, so moving on from here, we're going to look at Roy. So when Roy joined the server back in 2014, this is the terrain he chose to work with. And between 2014 and 2015, this is the progress that he made. And then from then until now, these are the things that he's added. Now the next member we're going to be looking at is another guest member from Dadcraft named R Tester. And there was something unique going on here because R Tester has a tradition where every time he joins a server, he always builds a base on a mushroom island. But since our mushroom island is already being used for game land, and there weren't any other mushroom islands that would have generated except for really, really far away from spawn, I decided instead to find out where the next closest mushroom island would have generated in 1.6, and copy that into the 1.7 terrain that had already generated, since it was also an ocean biome, and it was easy to get the island in there. So this is the terrain as it looked with 1.7, and in the few short months that our tester has been able to derp around on the server, this is the progress that he's made with, obviously adding the entire landmass of the mushroom island. All right, so from our tester, we're going to go ahead and move on to my base. So this is how the terrain looked when I started back in 2012. This is the progress I made by the beginning of 2013. And then from 2013 to 2014, you can see I terraformed quite a bit. And then from 2014 to 2015, I really started to expand the base. And then from 2015 to 2016, I've continued expanding, but it goes behind where the camera is currently looking. So I decided to take a second set of screenshots for my base, starting with 2013, since I hadn't really built anything that whole first year. So this is how the terrain originally looked. Then moving from 2013 to 2014, this is the progress I had made. Added a house here in that little camping ground in that little foresty area. Then from 2014 to 2015, a couple more houses, not a whole lot's changed. And then from 2015 to now, I've really expanded a whole lot, added the entire church there and another tower. And it's, it's kind of interesting. I've actually added one tower right around New Year's every year, it seems like. Kind of interesting. Anyway, so moving on from here, let's go ahead and look at example space. Wait a second. This isn't his world. There we go. Okay, so this is the terrain that Example started with back in 2013. And then from 2013 to 2014, this is all the progress that he's made. And over on the right side of the screen there, you can actually see a counter he's put up that tells you what his subscriber number was at. So as we go from 2014 to 2015, not only can you see how much his base has progressed, but you can also see how much his channel has grown. And then from 2015 to 2016, there's a little bit more changes happening. The numbers are still going up in his subscriber count, but most of the progress he's been doing has been over in another area. So we're going to go ahead and look at another set of screenshots where the haunted house was being built. So this is the way that the terrain originally generated back in 2013. And then from 2013 to 2014, this is the progress he made. You can see he's got his little wall from his main base coming out here. And then from 2014 to 2015, that's when he really started to expand out here. And then from 2015 until now, here's where you can see it with the haunted house. Now next up, I also want to show you guys Example's witch farm, because we've been doing quite a bit of work there since it was first built. So this is how it originally generated back in 2013. And then from 2013 to 2014, this is the progress we had made. And then we continued from 2014 to 2015. And then from 2015 until now, this is where it's at. Now this is something that Example and I have been working on just recently, and I've actually got quite a bit of footage recorded of us just sort of digging this thing out. So the next couple videos on my channel are going to be recordings of stuff that was going on while we were working on this project and some fun stuff that we decided to do in the meantime. Anyway guys, that's it for today's base progression video. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you at the next video.